here we are. We are gonna see a movie that he knows nothing about.
Nothing.
I read the paragraph of it. I think it'll be a good time. I'm not really sure.
How do you pronounce it?
Harbin.
Harbin.
I think. I don't know. That's just what it looks like. The thing about this movie that I do know, hour and 48.
Oh, okay.
That'll be all right.
All right. Okay.
It's gonna be subtitled.
The
camera's crooked because I hit a deer with my car, and
we've borrowed.
And I'm borrowing a van, and that's the only way I can get the camera. It's a little crooked.
We'll just have to lean this way a little bit.
Yep.
Hey guys.
Anyway, the funniest thing is when I hit the deer, it completely explosively pooped all over my hood.
Yeah, that's the story they wanted to hear. Definitely.
It's kind of crazy. I hit it right in the ass because it turned right at the last second. Bam! And then just the shit all over my fucking.
He was probably ready to launch already, and then you just finished the job.
Yeah. He doesn't know much about it.
No, I know. So I have no thoughts about it. I have no idea of what we're in for.
It's a wartime movie.
Oh.
So hopefully that helps.
Is it an anime or is it?
No, it's subtitles.
Okay. I just was wondering if it's
No, it's live action.
Okay.
But
I like war movies.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
War movies. All right, we will see you sometime later.
Sis.
It's like the movie we just saw.
Yeah, that movie made me
icicle.
Cold. It's like, what is it, 0 degrees right now?
Probably.
It's we're freezing. In a cold van.
We just got in here and it didn't have time to heat it up.
What does it look like without the lights?
I don't know. Fine. It's okay.
I don't know, whatever.
We look super orange.
Yeah, we'll be orange for today.
Wow, this movie is something else, guys. Oof. I don't know.
Yeah?
I don't know, man. I'm a little bit mixed on it, which I think I already have it.
I had a number for like a long time, and then the ending bumped it up 1.
Yeah, it did. It actually has a decent ending to it. Better than I was expecting.
I was expecting the worst.
Oh, okay. So this movie starts out extremely barbaric. It is really brutal, and it's not like we're combat with rifles. For like a minute, and then it's like 10 minutes of just
choking people.
Dude's rolling around in a muddy,
super graphic. And then there's a scene where there's like 30 people without heads.
Yep.
And then you're like, that's this movie. And then it turns out it's not that movie. Because then it's this cat and mouse for like an hour and a half.
Yep.
And then it ends.
It's a spy movie.
Yes, it's definitely a spy movie.
It's a spy assassination movie that is extremely long and drawn out, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it didn't have to be that fucking.
It was to comic extent, too.
Oh,
We're sitting there.
God.
They're like riding horses. They're in like Korea.
That montage.
And they're like riding horses, and then suddenly they're in a desert. They cross the whole desert.
They start in an icy wasteland.
Yep.
Crossing a bridge, and then the next scene they're in a desert, and we're like, oh fucking. And then but it was only a few days.
No, it could only be 2 because it started on 5 days left till something.
Yeah, there's this whole plot.
And then they go out through this huge thing. They're camping at night, and they're like, when will we be there? In the morning. Then they get there in the morning, and then they leave right away.
The main characters, yeah. I did what?
I'm so fucking cold.
It's not that bad.
My feet are cold, actually.
I don't know.
Anyway, this movie made me cold. The whole thing's set in winter.
It is.
It's all these people getting frostbite and
horrible shit.
It's all huddling around fires.
This is
bleak.
Well, this is also Emphysema, the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Holy.
It's just non-stop.
Everyone
clouds of smoke everywhere, and everyone's just talking and and you're just
like lighten up another one.
I feel like I need to go see the doctor already just by watching this shit.
No.
Wow.
Actually remind me of my childhood home where everyone smoked inside.
Yeah, it was normal.
Back in the day.
Or the bar.
Or the bar.
Guys, back in the day, you could smoke in the bar, and for young
everyone smoked in the bar.
Everybody did.
And it was horrible.
I was never a smoker, but I would come home reeking like
and feel like
just like oh my god. Awful.
But
that's this movie.
I think that it's well shot.
Yeah, it is. It's got an awesome score, actually.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Some of the time, The music was completely unrelated to what was happening. I was like, really? That's what you chose? Just a couple times.
Yeah.
But it did happen to me where I'm like, wow, that music's way the hell out of place.
I thought the initial scene where it's this bloodbath isn't war music. It's a horror movie music. Yeah, but it was still fitting. I liked it because it was horrifying.
It was really graphic and horrifying and
nasty.
Everyone just became barbaric. This movie is about the horrors of war.
Yep,
straight up.
So the premise is Japan is going to take over
1909.
Yep, is going to take over Korea.
They're slowly,
and then the main characters they're from the Resistance Army,
the Independence Army.
Yep, and they plot an assassination attempt on the Prime Minister,
on the Emperor of Japan.
No, that's not the Emperor. He answers to the Emperor.
I thought that was the Emperor.
So by this time, the Emperor was more of an honorary thing. The whole family, just like
I don't know
in Britain,
anything about it.
Yeah, they don't have the full power anymore. They're more of a. I mean, they're part of the government, but they don't. The people still elect like a or whatever.
Well, anyway,
as far as I remember,
it's all about
I
this
think by
assassination
1909,
attempt.
that's how it goes.
And then they planted a mole.
Yep.
And a lot of the movies about finding the mole and trying to get the job done.
The traitor who,
So, that's all we can really say without spoilers.
Yeah, I think, well, okay.
Acting is solid.
Acting is good. It's actually pretty good. You know,
it's subtitles.
I think that,
and it's
so this was distracting to me. I feel like I'm usually good with subtitles, but like they just weren't, I don't know, something. Maybe it was the placement of where they were on the screen.
I didn't like that.
I didn't like it because it was so low that I couldn't.
Here's the problem: is the subtitles there'd be yellow ones to say who characters are.
This is the character,
and then at the same time it'd say what they're saying underneath.
And then in another language, what was that?
Yeah, then they'd have Korean above it. Yeah, sometimes Russian, and
it's just like this whole screen is.
And the other problem I had is that, for the most part. The subtitles, they didn't even give you a chance to read them half the time. They were just flying by, especially in arguments. You know, like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like trying to read, and I'm not watching the expressions. I'm not watching anything.
I'm like, who said that? Who said that? I'm doing this. Like,
exactly. It doesn't help that we sat right up front.
Yeah, but still, I don't know.
I was actually anticipating there would be no one here. Yeah. And there was a bunch of people.
People came out to see this movie. This movie is also extremely dark.
Yes.
It's fucking black.
It's hard to see what the fuck's going on.
They're all hanging out in these hideouts and fucking all these unsafe houses and in dark places and alleys and shit.
But even they're normal, it's daylight. There's a filter. It's super gray.
It is
dark.
And then it'll do like a 2-second flip over to, oh my god, blinding desert.
And you're like,
oh shit.
Blue skies in the desert? No way.
Really goofy, man. I don't know. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
The way, it would be a pitch black screen and then a door would open and all this light would pour in and then a guy would
smoke.
Yeah, you'd see this
There's so
haze
much cigarette smoke
swim through and then a guy would step through the door. Like really cool cinematic shots like that I thought were really cool.
There's a long section where they built this train prop.
Oh,
and I was that's not how trains are. It's just it was like, if that was a real track, it'd be like this the whole way.
Yeah,
and they didn't design tracks like that. Never.
They never have.
They try to get as long as stretches as they can, and then have one little turn,
straight,
and a little turn.
It would. You could see down the hallway, and it'd be like this. And
the whole train was just
it was just
snaking. The whole that's like a fucking 35-minute scene in the train too.
It is.
It's a big chunk of the runtime.
I would hate to be on those trains. They've got these swinging bulbs that are just always like this. It's like a horror movie where you're like, this is the killer's basement.
They made a real set.
They did,
and then
it
was like an actual set, not a train.
Yeah,
and then. Because
somebody was going, shake it.
Well, the whole set, I think, did. Because people were standing, and you could see how they were standing, and it looked like being on a real train.
Yeah, they were. So they did a good job, but except for... And I think, I was remarking on, I think it was just a mirror to make it seem...
I think that's possible, but at the same time...
Like a couple layers back where we wouldn't notice.
They just had 2 cars as a prop, and just... had a bunch of different shots because they went through different, 4 or 5 different train cars.
They did.
I think they just used the same ones and just switched out people.
Yep.
So I don't think it was a mirror,
Well, like, I think to make it look even longer than 2 cars.
Yeah.
You could just, and then you wouldn't know the difference.
Correct, yeah.
So, I mean.
It works.
It looked great. It makes me wonder what it was like to be on a train like that back in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of shit happens on a train in this. This is all about catching a train and hopping trains and switching trains and death on trains and people falling out of windows on trains and fight scenes. And wow. I don't know, man. This movie is...
There's a lot of really good tearing up moments for people.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people
there's a lot of loss.
When there's betrayal, when there's loss, when they think they failed. You know what this fucking reminded me of is Godzilla -1.
What part? Oh, like the emotional.
Just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just this guy who's just fucking gets kind of
very bleak. Fucking everything's bleak, including the scenery.
And then he's like, "Well, the only way for redemption is a suicide mission."
Yep, I gotta do.
So it's
I gotta
like
get
that.
my honor back. Yeah. It's interesting. There is a pretty good twist and stuff in this.
There's a couple.
This movie was ultimately pretty fucking boring.
It was. I'll say.
I'm not gonna lie. Following the scenes just
never ended.
They never ended. Yeah, you could have cut every scene in half almost.
I bet you this could have. I still think that a lot of scenes being dragged, like being a little bit longer, helps for atmosphere.
But
I think you could trim like 15.
I was yawning a lot, and I'm not like completely super exhausted today. Maybe a little bit, but I was just like, oh God, it's so dark, and so and then it's just like talking, and I can't. I'm starting to like forget.
And when I get bored, my leg starts.
Yeah,
I got restless leg.
Starting to go
restless leg
like,
syndrome.
What's happening? Oh,
and he's like, dude, you're shaking the whole aisle. What are you doing?
Like, I was like, oh
shit. Yeah, so, I have like a restless leg thing when I get bored. But
okay, well, oh no, I'll be like, oh, he's starting to vibrate. I think we've got a loser here.
It's losing points.
He's losing some.
Tinking. Oh, it's getting worse.
That's 2 points. I think we're in 2-point territory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man.
Okay, so the plot.
Finally warming up. I can't even fucking tell.
Yeah, it feels like it. I'm getting warm, or maybe I'm acclimating. But I think the story itself.
There you go.
So it's based on a true story.
Yes.
So that's the cool part about it. I think that.
And then at the end crawl, they're like, boom, everything wraps up and it fades to black, and then it says 36 years later.
Yeah.
It's worse.
It's
horrible.
Things got even worse.
Even worse.
But that's what happened in real life. And then so the damage in the rebellion against Japan was even more bloody and more
and they got more aggressive.
They killed him for this guy, whatever. Anyway,
don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to ratings.
So,
I was sitting at 5-6 for a long time, and then I ended at between 6 and 7.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm at. 6-7. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie.
It's a good movie if you have patience and you're not sitting in a dark room.
Have a lamp on.
Have something so that you can see your surroundings. Because there's
a lot of quietness, right?
Yes.
Where it gets super quiet and you're just waiting for someone to say something. They're like, let's do a question. And he's like, and then it was so quiet, you could hear that
his leg going.
No, you could hear the poor like technology because you could hear.
Oh yeah,
in the background. Yeah. That's how quiet it was. You heard like the actual audio
weird.
Buzz.
It was weird. Yeah.
Every single scene it got quiet.
Happened.
You hear this.
Yep. I did. I thought it was something in the scene. I'm like, there's nothing in the scene that's going to be making that noise.
No.
I'm like, is there like a machine or like wires that are buzzing or something? No, it's not.
It was literally just like
pin drop
audio
silent. We're like, oh.
Yeah. But it happened. There was like
multiple, like 15, 3 or 4 times.
I think 15 spots in the movie where it's completely dead silent.
Yes.
And you're like waiting for someone to say something.
Yeah, it lingers too long on these scenes where, I don't know. It lost so many points. I'm going to give this a 5.
5?
I think it's a 5. I think it's a good movie, but like it's a solid movie. It's okay. It's
average.
I would never ever rewatch this.
I don't think I would either.
It's boring.
I'm gonna give this is almost blasphemy compared to yours, a 7.
Oh,
you know why?
You like this?
There's a payoff.
There is, but
it's very suspenseful. I was on the end part, the end 15 minutes. I was like, everything that we've went through together has led to this moment. I felt like, okay, it's all kind of earned now. You know, it was a long, there's a lot of cat and mouse, and I followed it all, which I have to give it credit. I followed all the cat and mouse stuff.
You didn't get lost, but it was also
even though
like
there's
keeping
a lot
in the
of
dark
weird
for a while.
names and shit that was like hard to follow.
Yeah,
because the problem is there's 2 Kims.
Yeah,
that was the problem I had because there's like Kim Jong blah, and then Kim whatever.
Which we.
But there was 2 of them, and that's the only problem I had because it's subtitles. I wish.
Well,
you know,
if
they
did it correctly, that's their last name.
Correct.
So,
but so I was supposed to like look for
what's the other? You know.
Yeah, but
I get it.
I don't know.
I get it, man.
It's hard for me. But anyway.
So 7.
I honestly think the payoff, which we're about to talk about, is worth it.
Yeah,
worth the price of admission.
I think
honestly, because you know it's a gory graphic movie, and you're like you
drag you through the movie, and you feel defeated the whole fucking time
because they're getting defeated constantly,
over and over again. They are struggling.
As a true story,
it is.
This is like fuck. If you try hard enough, you can fucking figure shit out.
This.
But anyway, spoilers.
It comes in riding pretty fast with the whole like just keep on the horse and you got it. And even in the very end scene he kind of has a little saying and whatever, and it's just like you just keep fighting.
That whole end just made it made that whole the whole movie like
it did.
The boringness of it all is like, okay, this is all coming together.
She stabbed him.
She did.
Are you sure she didn't push him over?
No, she stabbed because he's like, oh.
Oh, okay.
He lived through it though.
It didn't show a knife or anything.
No, you could see her go, and then she like.
That was a sweet. That was like, ooh.
Yeah. The weird thing. So this whole movie is about this guy.
You don't even know what we're talking about.
This big murderous battle in the beginning.
Yep.
The main character's name is An. Yep. So there's like 4 characters we're gonna get to.
Some big ones. Yeah.
Well, 5. There's a general. There's An. There's Woo. And there's Kim.
Yeah.
And then there's Mrs. Gong.
Yes.
And Miss Gong.
I thought she was cool.
Yeah, she did her job. But they're all like, let's fuck these Japanese people up.
Yeah, so they got a force of 80, and they have the Japs have a 150, and they're out there digging a trench or something.
Yeah, and they're like, you know what? We have more heart. So they go in, brutal scene. And I don't want to go play by play, but
they murderate.
What happens is they're like brutal. They have prisoners of war, the good guy or the Korean Independence Army.
Yep.
And one of them is the major or the captain or whatever.
He's a major.
And he's like, let me kill myself honorably. And he's like, no, tend to the wounded.
Yep.
And then, fucking weirdly, from that moment on, that general dude has a hard-on for the main character An.
He just wants to kill him because he was defeated by somebody of a lesser rank, so it's dishonorable.
Correct. And then
he
let
got
him live.
His ass kicked, actually, in a lot of ways.
And that's what happened. So this whole movie, this guy's fucking got a hard on for this dude, and he's trying to track him, and he sets up moles in his operation and all this stuff, and it's like, once you find out who the mole is, it's so sad. You're like, no,
because you're like, oh, he's such a
he's
such a lawyer, and he's smart.
Had a wife and kids,
he had the language skills and all that shit.
But they find out who the mole is on this long cat and mouse thing in the fucking training.
Goes on forever,
and he's like. And there's a bunch of, it's all about spreading misinformation so that the Japanese guy who's tracking them goes to the wrong place. And then what happens is An tells Woo, he's like, you got to deal with Kim, who's the traitor. And Woo's like, well, turncoats need to be executed. And then you find out.
You think that he's going to kill him.
And at the very end of the movie, it shows up.
It does it than once where it does a flashback and finishes the scene, the parts that you didn't see the first time.
Correct.
To fill in the plot.
And he's like, let him live. Because I have a feeling. So here's the thing.
Give him a second chance.
The whole Korean army, Independence Army, is pissed at An for not executing all the prisoners because they regrouped, came back, and killed all his guys.
Yeah, they didn't just kill him. They fucking
all their heads got chopped off.
They decapitated his whole force.
And
they had cannons, I guess. It looked like they had bombarded the camp.
They didn't show the cannon, which is
no, they didn't show any of that.
There's a couple of cool things with dynamite. But anyway, all this shit happens, a bunch of traitoring happens, and then the payoff. The payoff is awesome because
it's pretty good.
Dude he's like, oh my God.
They finally get, so they plan to blow the train up with dynamite, and then the whole thing goes south because of the mole.
The mole lets them know, so the Russian army comes in.
With
the Japanese general.
Yep, they're all there, and so they have to fight their way out of that.
Wasn't that cool?
They lose a guy.
I think that was cool, though, how they're like...
they just walk out.
They're walking out, and they're like, well, okay, and they regroup at the back of the carriage, like, there's an ambush.
Yeah,
like, I saw it
too. Yeah,
like,
and there's like guys everywhere.
There's like fucking 50 Russian soldiers with rifles.
Thankfully, they went on a 2-hour tour to go across the desert and through the fucking mountains to get a bucket, like a fucking case full of dynamite. Yep. And so the way they break out, they're like, and there's guys going.
Yeah, it was awesome
everywhere. It was pretty cool.
And then they fuck up because all the dynamite's on the carriage.
Yep.
And they're like, let's get out of here. And then
okay, hold before we get too far. The major of the Jap, he's boom, and then the trailer wheel fell off.
He shot the trailer wheeler a bunch of times. It was actually kind of cool to me because
it seemed that kind cool, of shit, but I was like, can you even do that?
Doesn't happen in movies.
No,
usually it's like they're getting away, bam, bam, bam. Oh no!
And then he like blows the fucking like.
Well, the wheel comes off.
Yeah,
and the horses
and she's trying to get the
go
fuck
out
of
in front of a fucking train
and then get hit.
It's one of those like whatever electric ones, like trolley inside of a city. And it drags it along till it catches fire, and then all the explosives blow up. And you're like, oh my God. Everyone scatters. They find the one dude, execute him
after, he won't tell him where.
But what happens is, at the end, after they get the mole and all this shit, and he doesn't kill the mole, Woo doesn't kill
You find out that
Kim.
he's not gonna.
Yeah. And then, fucking, at the end, dude's already in Harbin, which is the town. The name of the movie is the town that the emperor or the prime minister
or whatever gets
transferring trains at.
Yep.
And he just fucking walks right out. There's 100 Russian soldiers on each side of this thing. All these rich people, other personal guards.
Oh yeah.
Literally just walks out, bap, 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 murders them, and then he gets taken.
Yep.
And hung.
And that's his
legacy. I was like,
he assassinated. That's his whole goal was to do that. And he asked Mrs. Gong.
Yeah, he asked Miss Gong. He's like, hey, how do you say long live Korea? And she's like, Korea Ura.
Yeah.
He's like, Korea Ura.
And then, so
right once he executes him, he's like, Korea Ura.
Yeah.
Korea Ura.
Yep.
And they hang him.
horribly. And then after that
is like, because I was like, I was like, at least he fucking.
If that would have ended like, he grazed his fucking arm or something, I would have been like, no, this whole movie's for nothing. All those desert scenes, why?
Yeah. Anyway, so this dude, he kills him, and then he gets killed, and then at the end it shows Kim meeting with the general, because at that assassination, Major gets stabbed by Mrs. Gong from behind, and then she like gets out of there.
Yeah.
And because he's trying to stop it from happening.
Because he finds out the plot.
He knows the plot to kill him.
He's trying to get to the to warn everybody.
And
she's
she sees him and she stabs him, shanks him a couple times.
Yeah,
anyway, he lives.
He does live.
And it's the end scene of the movie is like,
it's a good one.
They're sitting at like. Kim walks up.
One of the better scenes
sits on a bench next to the major, and he's like, "All right, we got a new mission for you.
Yeah, we need to.
Here's money." He's like, "Take it."
And now, where's so and so meeting, and what's going on?
Yeah,
and he's asking all these questions.
And he's like, "What's the address of the safe house?" And he reaches in his pocket.
He has his hand in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah, he reaches in his pocket, grabs his fucking knife. And it was so satisfying because that major dude.
And then he's like.
Yeah,
looking at
it. He's like, I'm gonna look right in your eyes.
You just watch the dying light
fade from his eyes. And it zooms in on it, and he's like, all right.
It was so awesome.
And it was like satisfying.
And then he walks off, and he hangs out with the other three main characters. The other two. Yeah,
it was Woo and Gong.
Yep.
And it was satisfying because Woo was like, I want to kill you because you're a turncoat. But dude's like, I believe that he got shaken.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And like his family and all this stuff.
When you find out what they did to him.
Yes. Oh, that was horrible.
The torture that they did to him. You're like, anyone would cave. Anyone. Like, you'd have to be, it's just like,
kill me nerve gas or what. Yeah,
they do all this horrible shit to him.
It's all wet in the shower. This guy puts on a fucking nerve gas mask.
And he's like,
starts torturing
him. He's all tied up in the shower and he can't move and he's flopping around on the ground.
More mall cops.
As the gas, like, is
That's why I never want to come here again.
hate
Mall
this
cops.
fucking-
AMC sucks. It was super expensive. How
So-
much? A hot dog, a water.
No, a water was like it was
$7.
It was like $7.14 for a water for this. Oh, what did I do with it? This dinky motherfucker.
It's smart water though, B.
Fuck off.
Anyway,
I'd rather drink my own pee.
And then we just get harassed by they
Not
always
true.
come park right next to us and flash like nee, 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 nee.
Yeah, like hey, in case
Every
in
time.
case you don't know where you are.
We're like parked in a real spot.
Yeah, this time.
I don't have my headlights on. I'm not disturbing anyone.
No, we're talking.
Anyway, about this movie, yeah,
I still think
I stand by a 7 because
I think it's still a 5 for me. It was so boring.
It was very boring.
Like,
but the boring stuff, I was sitting there listening to him follow. Like I was following everything that was going on. So I don't know.
you could have cut every scene by like a quarter.
You're right.
Like
You could have.
and it just speed up the speed, and then you take, and then you talk, and you not like
They'd be like, blah, 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 blah. They're like, dude, you can't say nothing until he says something.
right.
So he defends himself, and then he's like,
and then he sits there for like 20 seconds.
it might
Like,
even
what
be
are you-
more. And I'm
It
sitting
was
like
just
looking around like,
oh my god. I do like how it opens
everyone
up.
just
Oh, dude.
like
I cannot
there's
believe how much
like
smoke.
8 or 10 packs of smoke.
Oh,
like,
those
smoke in this
people.
movie.
It just
And you know it's real because like back in the 80s and 90s, they'd take a hit and not blow anything out, right?
oh yeah.
These fuckers are just
yeah.
like they're ripping these cigs too.
Well, and then
taking
because they're not
fat
like
rippers off those
special
fuckers.
cigarettes that we have today.
They're unfiltered.
They're
Fucking,
just fucking. Just the cherry is just everywhere.
so much
Just
cigarette
like,
smoke.
Oh my
It's
god!
ridiculous.
There was a scene where remember when they're at the train depot and it's just the two sitting there and he's about to, whatever.
Yeah.
He has a cigarette and you see this ash falls on his fucking scarf and it's
Burns
just
it.
sitting there. I'm like, oh, is that gonna go somewhere? Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Did they but apparently they caught it or something or whatever. But I just watched it glowing there for like 10 seconds straight. Like, is that gonna catch
there's a
your
couple
beard on fire?
executions in this movie.
There is.
And it's like, it's hard to watch kind of because it's like,
Yeah.
I like the character and he's just like, he's laughing. He's like, you're a fucking idiot.
Hey, he died laughing.
He did.
He did. He died with that revenge fucking like, fuck you, ha ha ha.
He captured one of them. All right. And he's like, where's Han?
That's the part that makes me not like.
I don't think the Major was a cool enough villain. Because that's always like, where's Han? Where's Han? Where's Han?
Yeah.
Because he's got this scar. Scar face.
You know what's really funny about that too is like, I don't know that, especially if you're a major, I don't think that your wound would have healed wide open like that. It's a big gash
It
the whole
healed
time.
wide open because no one stitched it.
But like, why?
Because no one let him. He was on the fucking woods and
I guess maybe
They didn't have any-
You'd figure that. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder about that.
if you would have stitched it shut, it'd just be a little, like I got a
Yeah, I mean, we all
stitching
do.
spots.
If you get to it early enough, I suppose.
just
But
like
it
a
was
line.
just such a fucking meaty, gross gash. The whole movie.
It was.
I was just like, oh
Yeah.
god, it's like pizza.
Oh, and
Hut.
then there's a last thing to touch on is they go out to the wood or go into the desert to get explosives.
Oh my god!
Which
What is the point of that?
so that whole thing could have been cut. That whole section.
Just have somebody show up. Yeah, we got the goods.
And it's this guy who he used to go, battle with. Like they were in the same army a long time ago.
Yeah,
and he's like, I lost my eye in that battle. And he's just a drunk.
and he's
like,
her husband's brother.
correct.
Okay.
And she's like, but the other guy, one of the main characters, Han actually used to go with him or whatever. And he's like,
Other
Russians play this game called Russian Roulette. Puts a bullet in.
None of that needed to be in the goddamn movie.
No.
Like it was so.
That was a really boring long scene of everyone like slightly crying and being angry, and then it's like,
and the guy's a wastoid, because he's so like he's fighting off his demons and shit.
I thought he'd show up later or something, but
No,
completely
I don't.
pointless
Where
character.
did he? Yeah, completely. That
Anyway.
whole scene, that was like that montage of them riding.
I still think it's a good movie.
it was a beautiful movie.
It's like
there's this opening shot,
bordering
and
great.
it happens a couple times of this frozen lake.
Yes.
That's so beautiful looking because the ice is like, it's like this deep black bluish color, and then there's these lighter tones of cracks that go through it, and they're huge and like
it's a really nice.
it's a beautiful movie actually. A lot of the shots
know
are
you-
okay. I know it's dark, but
I know
like
it's
you can
boring
do
too,
dark. and make it beautiful.
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like there was a lot of substance to the boring parts to me.
There was.
So I wasn't overly bored.
But
I was like, okay, you
done it so
speed
much
up a little better.
Yeah, I was sitting at a 6. I almost gave it a 6, but I was like, no, I don't feel invigorated at all by the movie. I feel completely the same as when I went in.
I'm a kung fu movie junkie, and revenge is my shit.
That's one of the biggest fucking.
So when someone gets revenge, I'm like, fuck yeah, and it makes
that ending did feel satisfying. I'll say that.
It saved it.
It did.
It'd be like 5. If he wouldn't have killed the dude, the prime minister,
if he didn't kill the
prime minister, 4 already.
Yeah, I'd be at 4. And if
for what reason would you make this movie at that point?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, just to show montages in the desert
and everyone's suffering.
Which I don't understand.
But we're going to let you go. So,
okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
It's our first movie review of the year.
First movie of 2025.
And weirdly enough, I gave it a higher rating than you.
We're in trouble, guys.
Really think that's air breathing?
It's not now.
It's not now. It's
just cigarette smoke.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, like, share, subscribe, bang the bell. Let us know if you've seen this. We will catch you later in another vertical.
Yeah.